How do we use less of our time and energy and get maximum return back? That's what I'm always
Yes.
trying to teach, right? So that people can get out there and actually enjoy their life. So, what is a good rule of thumb? A lot of creative entrepreneurs will just go down the rabbit hole. So, can you guide us to what that ROI looks like or how we could gauge our time and measure so we're
Yeah.
not just like completely drowning? Hello, and welcome back to Beyond Common Business Secrets. Congratulations for making the decision to be here with us today. I have the most amazing guest, Brenda Meller, with us today. Brenda, thank you so much. Brenda Meller is helping business professionals and job seekers enjoy a bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie. Brenda is a former corporate marketer turned entrepreneur, a national speaker, chief engagement officer at Meller Marketing, and author of Social Media Pie, which I love that title, by the way, How
Thank
to
you.
Enjoy a Bigger Slice of the LinkedIn Pie, and podcast host of Enthusiastically Self-Employed. Brenda, welcome.
Thank you, Tracey. I'm so excited to have the conversation with you here today. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited. A dear friend of mine, Macarena, is who
Yeah.
introduced Brenda and I, and we hit it off instantly. And we're like, oh wait, I have to have you on the show.
Right. We're
And
both like, you get on my podcast, I get on yours. Let's
I
scratch each
know it's
other's
like,
backs, right?
and I don't do that often. It's interesting because I I just seem to either someone asks me to be on theirs and I go, or
Yeah.
there's this alignment to something. But when I met you instantaneous, I'm like, we need to do things together. So
Yeah.
I'm
The
so
energy. My
yeah.
daughter will sometimes, when she talks about her friends, she's like, I just don't vibe with her. Like, I feel like I vibe with Tracy. Like, right away we got on the phone. I'm like, ooh, I vibe with her. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And I am so excited because you were the first like we've had tons of social media experts on our show, but you're the first one that specializes in LinkedIn. So this
Mhm.
is rare and I have so many questions and I'm sure you have so much to share that I'm just like, woohoo, I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, happy to help and, ask away. I'm here for you.
So the first question I would have, and this actually came up in a webinar I was doing, I think it was yesterday morning. There was this question came up about, okay, maybe I do need to try LinkedIn, and I didn't even realize that was my target market. So if someone's just getting started with
Yeah.
LinkedIn as an option, and they're doing it for the sense of growing their business, how would you suggest they get started? Because I'm hearing this a lot and I'm like, I sent a couple of people to you this week because that
Oh,
I'm like,
thank
I
you.
know someone. It's
Yeah.
always like I know someone, but I didn't have the answers for them.
Yeah, and that's the way I get a lot of my clients is by way of referrals and by people name dropping. So thank you for that. I would say, you definitely want to get your profile set up, optimized for your ideal target audience. But if you're maybe even like dipping your toe and trying to figure out, is my audience even on LinkedIn? What I would do, you have to have a LinkedIn account to do this, but go into LinkedIn and there's a search bar at the top. And let's say, for example, you are targeting leadership coaches. Go into the search bar and type in leadership coach, hit enter, and then click on people and see how many results you get. I mean, I think that right there can show you with accuracy, like are is your target audience even on LinkedIn? You can see the number, and then from there you can certainly go into filters and apply geography and industry and other factors in there. But I think that can help you to quickly assess, are they even on LinkedIn? Is my target audience there?
I didn't even know the search bar worked like that. So that is a golden gem that I think will help a lot of people. What do you like? What are the ways that we can use LinkedIn to grow, to grow our business?
Yeah, great question. And I think about LinkedIn in terms of there's a variety of different ways that you can establish your professional brand. You can tell your story about yourself and your business. I'll give you just a couple of these techniques right now. One is you can set up a profile on LinkedIn, and your profile on LinkedIn is a lot different than any other networks. And I'm just going to use Instagram as an analogy because I think probably some of your listeners are heavy users of Instagram and not as heavy on LinkedIn. And in your Instagram bio section at the top of your Instagram account, there's a couple fields. You can have your photo or avatar, your name field, and there's character limits, and then there's a short bio section. You can put one link. A lot of us use what's it called, Linktree, where we can add like a whole bunch of different options in there. And there's not a whole lot. And then there's like some action buttons and stuff at the top of the profile. But for the most part, your Instagram presence is really your feed, what you're posting and publishing out there and how you're interacting with people. In comparison, LinkedIn has a whole lot of other bells and whistles on your profile. And some people almost say it's kind of similar to a resume, because there are some fields on LinkedIn that are similar to resume fields, things like your about statement and your experience section and your education and things like that. And when we build out our profile with all this information in LinkedIn, we start to create some different connection points. And for example, I'll use education as one. I went to Central Michigan University for my bachelor's degree, fire up chips, by the way. And when I have attached that into my education section and I click on the Central Michigan University logo, I can now find alumni that went to Central Michigan University who are on LinkedIn. And if I want to get a little bit more fine-tuned, I can search for people who are in my field, marketing, who, are on LinkedIn, or maybe work at my target companies or organizations where I want to do business with, my lead companies, for example. So those are some things you can't get on the other networks, but you have to build out your profile first. And another avenue that you can use is creating a business page on LinkedIn. It's free to set up a business page on LinkedIn, and there's a lot of people that may not have a website yet. And if you don't, you can actually create a business page to almost operate as a mini version of your website until you get a website launched. Or if you do already have a website, it's a supplement to that website. And it's kind of like a mini version of your website that sits on LinkedIn so people don't have to leave it. And similar to, on Instagram, I don't know about you, Tracey, but I've got like my Brenda Meller account, which is me, personal, family, and friends only. And then I've got Meller Marketing, which is open to the public. So there's two different presence I can have on Instagram. You can have a presence for your business on LinkedIn and a presence for you as an individual, Tracey, on there. And your business page, even though you might be self-employed and you might be a solopreneur, you are your business is you. Your business is an entity. And it's similar to if I want to do business with you and I look you up and I see the name of your business is Meller Marketing. Let's just say that's my business. But let's just say I do a Google search for Meller Marketing and it says website not found. Like that's the equivalent of not having a business page on LinkedIn. On your profile, next to your business name, there'll be a little gray avatar if you haven't set up a company page. If you have set a company page up and it's linked to your profile, your logo would appear. And when I click on that, it takes me to the company page on LinkedIn where I can learn more about your products, your services, the offerings that you have. And you can even post on that side on there. So I like to talk about the company pages because I feel like they don't get as much love as they deserve. And even though they don't get as much traction as our individual profiles on the platform, I like to think about company pages as a destination. And when people click to go and visit your company page, they'll see like there's an activity feed on the page. The only thing in that feed are posts that are made by your page, as opposed to if you think about if you go into the LinkedIn homepage feed, there's posts from a million different people. So you're not fighting the same amount of traffic from your company page as you do your personal profile. So these are two techniques to start you off.
Are you allowed to have more than one company page on
Yes.
LinkedIn? Okay.
Yes, you can. And actually, great question. So
I think I might have asked you that. Like, hey, do I need like a company page for my coaching business too? So that's good to know. I'm going to have to do
and I actually created one for Meller Marketing, which is my LLC. That's my main business. But I also have one for my book, which is called Social Media Pie. So Social Media Pie has its own company page on LinkedIn. And then I created another one for my podcast, which is called Enthusiastically Self-Employed. So I almost use those pages as like product or categories of my business. Now, it's not to say that you have to have multiple company pages because there's some upkeep that's required with each one of them, but you certainly could have different entities for your businesses.
Thank you so much, because I love how you said it was like the equivalent of that search, like, because nobody wants that. Like, you're like, you just heard a great speaker and then you go to Google them and you can't find their website. So I hadn't looked at the LinkedIn that way. And I think that is really, really useful advice. And don't you do classes to walk people through this? So like, that can help them So tell us a little bit about like, because we have people that are just getting started with tech, or, I do a lot of mindset coaching on overcoming technology stuff with people.
Yes.
And so sometimes there's that thing. I'm like, so whoever's listening, you absolutely can do this. You absolutely
Yeah.
can do this. We will get you the guides and resources that you need to be super successful on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I offer, I kind of have like a menu of services and offerings. And it's almost like if you were to go up to McDonald's and you're like, what's on the menu board? You can buy like the side of fries, or you can get the value meal, or you can get the family pack or whatever on there. So if someone were to come to me with a question about setting up a company page, typically I say, are you just looking for some free advice, or do you want to work with me one-on-one or learn about some of my offerings? And they might say, do you have any free resources or videos? Absolutely. I've got a YouTube library. You can search around in there and poke around. I have a blog on my website where I will often publish things. And sometimes it's just like a quick question. And what I will do, Tracey, is instead of just replying to one person, I'll do a LinkedIn post and I'll answer the question in the post. And I won't identify Tracey Watts Serino asked this question. I'll just say someone asked a question and here's my response. So a lot of times I can share resources and individuals with individuals that way. Sometimes they do want to work with me one-on-one, and then there's a couple avenues from there. Do you want one-on-one coaching working directly with me? Or are you open to an online course with some group coaching components as a part of it? So there's a couple different paths and offerings on going through there.
So you offer people many different like
Mhm.
paths to work with you. Okay, that's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So do you suggest that people do I get all these emails from LinkedIn
Yeah.
about the pro or something, and
Yeah.
it's like you sometimes I'm like, oh, do I need to look into this further? Do I not? So what do you suggest with something like that?
Yeah, great question. And what you're referring to is LinkedIn Business Premium, or they might say Sales Navigator. Do you want to upgrade to Business Premium, or do you want to purchase a Sales Navigator subscription? And LinkedIn is a business, so I'll start there. We're all business owners, and we get that you got to bring in money for your business. And I do not work for LinkedIn. I am an independent marketing consultant who helps people use LinkedIn more effectively. So I want to kind of start with that. I don't make money on whether you pay to upgrade. I also don't like to see you wasting money. And if you are paying for Premium or Sales Navigator, I want to make sure that you're getting the most of your investment. So LinkedIn Premium was a term that was created by a marketer, and I can say that because I'm a marketer. And premium sounds better. It almost sounds like the American Express Gold Card, right? Like it's a better version of LinkedIn Premium. Oh, I got to have premium, right? And premium just means you get access to some additional features on the platform that you don't get with the free basic version of LinkedIn. So usually what I tell people, Tracey, if they're asking the question, should I upgrade? Should I use the paid version of LinkedIn, the premium or Sales Navigator? I just say, don't do that unless you have these three criteria that have met. First thing is you have optimized your profile from top to bottom for your ideal target audience. And that means it's written intentionally for them. Okay. The second thing is, are you practicing good invitation and messaging strategy? That means, are you adding a note to every single invitation every single time? And do you have a methodology for screening in people that's more than face value? Do you have some criteria that you're looking at to decide whose invitations to accept or not? And then are you messaging them back? The third thing I look for is, are you active on LinkedIn, both in engaging with other people in the homepage feed on a regular basis, as well as posting on a regular basis? And I like to say at least once a week, you should be posting. Ideally, you should be working up to a higher frequency, no more than once a day, but once a week minimum. Now, if you're doing all of those three things and you're using LinkedIn for business development, then it might make sense to upgrade to premium. If you do so, I want you to keep in mind, I think business premium, it's around $60 or $70 per month right now. And you can do a free trial. They usually will give you 30 days for free. Sometimes you can get a 60-day or a 90-day trial for free. But when you do so, you'll put your credit card on file. You get 30 days to kick the tires and figure it out whether or not it makes sense to you. When you go from the free basic version to premium, there's a couple things that I like that I regularly use. One is you can see everyone who has viewed your profile. Now, sometimes these people, Tracey, are readers. These are people who never interact with my posts. They won't invite me to connect, but they're kind of the looky-loos. They look at my profile And if I look at them and I see, gosh, Tracey might be a good connection for me to make, then I might invite her to connect on LinkedIn. And then that is worth the $70 I paid for the month because I've got a new connection who could be possibly a new lead for me. That's one feature that I use. Another is there's something called a LinkedIn away message. And if you're connected with me on LinkedIn, you can test this out. Just send me a quick message and say, hi, I heard you on Tracey's podcast. And it's almost like an email out of office, Tracey. It will reply back with an away message. And it only does it once per day and only to people who are first level connections. Now, what I do is I set up my away message to promote product, a service, an upcoming event, current webinar series. That's what I'm promoting right now. Or I will say, this is the away message, a premium feature. Until I can get back to you, check out my latest post. So I'll drive them back to my activity feed on LinkedIn where they can check that out. For me, that feature right there is worth it because sometimes I can get people that get that message. They go sign up for my webinar and they end up signing up for one of my programs. So then it's worth the $70 that I'm paying a month. There's a couple of additional things that you get with premium as well, but those are the two that I like most in that feature. So the average person, you do not need to pay for LinkedIn Premium or Sales Navigator. But I would say if you're using LinkedIn for business development and for prospecting, as long as you're doing those 3 items that I mentioned earlier, it may make sense to at least try it for a month and see if you're getting any value out of it.
So optimize first, right? Like optimize first and then look into that. That when you message like that, I did get that. That's how I knew about your you have an upcoming workshop. This and I know you're doing them all the time. So I will include in the show notes at the time that this episode airs what you have going on. But I think that's pretty cool that you explained all of that. The other email that I get from LinkedIn all the time is if I want to contribute to an article.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so what's that about? I've done it a couple of times. I'm like, okay. And then other times I'm like, I don't know if this is worth it.
Yeah, so there's a newer feature that LinkedIn has rolled out, and they're called collaborative articles, and they're AI generated topics and AI generated messaging prompts or questions. And right now it's a by invitation only. So first of all, Tracey, congratulations to you if you've been tapped on the shoulder by LinkedIn to participate in collaborative articles, because not everyone is getting asked to do this right now. I'm still a little bit hesitant on promoting collaborative articles and really doing widespread merchandising or communicating to people what this is, because right now it's a by invitation only feature. And what happens is you go into these collaborative articles and you can contribute to a specific topic or question within an article. So there'll be like one is talking about public speaking, the best things you need to do as a public speaker. And then there'll be subset questions as a part of that. And you can choose which question to respond to. Now, what happens with these collaborative articles is if you contribute to multiple topics within a subject and people are rating you can give like a thumbs up to rating or to give someone who responded to the article. You can say, good job on it basically. And if people are responding to those, then you can earn on the top of your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to pull mine up in the background so I can look and see what it's called, but it's called a top X voice, and the X stands for whatever the topic is. So let's say, for example, right now, I'm participating in the social selling collaborative articles. When I have contributed to multiple articles with multiple submissions and people are either reading it or they're giving me the thumbs up on it, LinkedIn is now giving me a badge at the top of my profile that says top social selling voice. Now, I've also earned a badge for top consulting voice. And I think there's a little drop down that I can look at to see what other topics have I earned a top voice badge in. Now, this is a bit different than LinkedIn's top voices, which is something they publish once a year per category. This is something that you can actually participate in to get these badges at the top of your profile. So I'll pause there. Does that make sense, Tracey? And do you have any questions about anything so far?
It makes sense. I have to actually respond is what you were telling me. Like that's what I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. So when you're talking about, so you were talking about maximizing and optimizing your time. So, of course, LinkedIn's a business. You have a business, or everyone listening has a business. I have a business. Some people have several. The thing is that we're all looking for that and this is what I teach a lot, that sort of magic equation, right? That's the sweet spot between your investment of time and the return of money back to you, right?
Yes.
So we're like, how do we use less of our time and energy and get maximum return back? That's what I'm always trying to teach, right? So that people can get out there and actually enjoy their life. So what is a good rule of thumb? Like, because, a lot of creative entrepreneurs will just go down the rabbit hole. So can you guide us to what that ROI looks like, or how we could gauge our time and measure, so we're not just like completely drowning?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with, we all get 24 hours in a day. I do not get 48. You do not get 48. You and I and Oprah and Beyonce and everybody out there, Taylor Swift, we all get 24 hours in a day. Nobody gets more than that. So we all can be selective about how we spend the time. And sometimes when I'm working with clients, they're like, I just don't have any more time to spend on LinkedIn. And then I break it down and I'm like, how much time do you spend on Instagram? How much time are you spending on Facebook? How much of your time are you spending reading books or watching TV? Or, there's a variety of other things that you choose to spend your time on. What I'm going to give you as guidance, and for you and for your audience, is I would recommend that you spend 15 minutes a day on LinkedIn at minimum. So, and I'm going to suggest that you, even if you're one of those people that you end up, going down the rabbit hole and spending way too much time, set a timer and only spend 15 minutes and then leave LinkedIn and go do your work and go do your job. What you will find is that the more time that you spend on LinkedIn, the more comfortable you're going to get with the network. If you only have 15 minutes, and I've actually got a post that I'll send you if you want to put this in show notes. And I had an executive I was recently coaching, Tracey, and he's like, I'll be honest with you. And he's a C-level, he's like, I don't have any time at all. He's like, but if you were to tell me I need to spend 10 minutes on LinkedIn every month, like, what do I need to do? And I created a post. I'm like, if you only have 10 minutes this month, these are the things that you should do on LinkedIn. And then I said, but even better, if you can make 10 to 15 minutes a week, here's what I would do in each of those weeks. And I varied up some of the different activities that you do in there. But for him, if he's only going to spend 10 minutes a month, what I said is spend 5 minutes in the homepage feed, scrolling through and seeing what other people are talking about. As an executive, I told him, you may not want to touch a post, meaning like, react, or comment, because you're just too busy. Or if you do so, all the salespeople swarm you, right? But I said, at least read and see what others are talking about and posting about, because it almost becomes like a news feed of your business connection. So you can see, job promotions, you can see company announcements, you can just read about them and keep the tabs on those people. So that's like the first thing that I would do if you only have 15 minutes to spend. And then I directed him towards, instead of meandering around, go in your messages and see, is there anything that's requiring your attention? You're probably going to get a lot of sales pitches. Just ignore them, decline them, or just ignore them.
Thank
The
you for
ones that
giving me
do need,
permission for that.
yeah, right. And if you do message them back, even if you do message them back and say, no, I'm not interested, you've opened up the Pandora's box of messaging. So now, even if you don't accept their invitation, they can message you again and again. So ignore them if you're not interested, is what I'm telling people. Then maybe click on My Network and let's see, is there any pending invitations that you should accept from team members, partners, clients, prospective clients? Like, let's look at that time that's in there. But I think it all comes down to being structured and strategic about how you spend your time. And I've been on the platform for, going on 16, 17 years now. And I'm even learning new strategies all the time on how I can make the most time. Now, I would spend 8 hours, 10 hours a day on LinkedIn if I could, but I also need to work on my business. So when I go on there, I'm even following some of these same practices, keeping in mind that LinkedIn's goal is to keep you on the site longer, right? Your goal is to not necessarily stay on LinkedIn for 8 to 10 hours a day. It's to do your business. It's to achieve your business goals and your career goals. So you want to think about being very strategic on how you spend your time there. Get in, get what you need done. Spend some time with community engagement as well. I think that's important, but then get out of the platform.
That's exactly what I teach, no matter what platform. It's like, I tell people 15 minutes or 2 songs. If you don't want to do a timer, like put on 2 songs, it can be done. Right. So I love that, that the same rules apply to LinkedIn. I just thought of another question while you were talking, because this just happened. So I was thinking, I'm like, oh, this just happened, so it'll be good. I got a notification from LinkedIn and it said something about, will you accept work from, and it's like consulting, speaking, like everything that I do. Right. And so I said, yes. Now my profile picture has this thing that says open to work. What's that
Oh,
about? Is that, do
yeah.
I want that up there? I'm like, how did that happen? So
You
I don't know what
probably don't, because
that was
open
so
to work,
weird.
yeah, open to work actually means that you're open to job opportunities. It's not like open to project work and service. I mean, some people are using it like that, but
Okay.
really on the platform, the open to work badge that you get on your profile is known to be used by job seekers that are in career transition looking for their next opportunity. There's also another badge that says I'm hiring, or I think it might just say hiring on there. So there's a couple different badges that you can get on there, but you can turn that off. If you click on your headshot photo, you might see it underneath there. Alternatively, there's probably a box underneath your profile. It's like a light blue box that says open to work. Click on that pencil icon, Tracey, and at the bottom, I'm going on my profile right now as I'm doing this. On the very bottom, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it will
Mhm.
say visibility, who can see that you're open to work, recruiters only, or LinkedIn members, or you can just delete that from your profile altogether.
Okay. Yeah, that's so, because I'm like, it was all like it was all like projects that I would take on, like a marketing project,
Yeah.
a speaking engagement, if coaching, but it was all short. So I was like, oh, I mean, what is this? So I clicked through because I'm not afraid to
Yeah.
try. But then all of a sudden it said open to work. I'm like, this doesn't really,
I
I
don't
don't
think
know if
so.
that makes sense for my business.
For your
Like
business. And you're not looking to become an employee, you're self-employed,
that would be
right?
hilarious. I haven't been an employee since I was 12 or
Uh,
like that would be like, wouldn't that be funny? One
yeah.
of my kids that came up at the dinner table a couple of weeks ago about, wouldn't it be funny if my, I was
Mom
like,
got a job and went to work for someone.
really was a great employee. People like would want me to come back. Like I was, because I'm trying to teach them about stuff.
That's funny.
They're getting
Yeah.
a little older. So we had a whole talk about that, about what
Yeah.
it would be like to be an employee.
Oh,
And
that's funny.
yeah, I feel like I think when you're a business owner, this is how I look at it. As a business owner, we have way more people to please than, when you work for someone, you like have to worry about your boss and maybe the boss above them. Like I always look at it like, no, we have way more bosses because the clients are all of our bosses. That's how,
Right? They change all the time. Yeah, but just
right?
so you know too, that open to work notification that came through, you're not alone, Tracey, in that. I mean, LinkedIn is confusing. And I say this all the time. I literally have a job because LinkedIn is confusing. And it's not always as intuitive as they make it sound. And I also want to keep in mind LinkedIn is a business and they've got a team of marketing professionals that are helping them with these things. Oh, let's serve this up to Tracey. And then Tracey clicks on all the buttons and then she adds something to her profile and she doesn't know what it means. And now she's, got recruiters calling on her. She's like, why are recruiters calling me? I just said I was open to work for marketing project management. And they're thinking you're open to becoming a marketing project manager for a corporation and they want to recruit you because you look like an awesome employee. But you're not alone in that. LinkedIn can be confusing. And I want to just, tell you, Tracey, and all of your listeners as well, if you ever have any LinkedIn questions, feel free to message me. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, I will be more than happy to answer the questions. I've heard it all. And I know it's confusing and I'm happy to help you.
Well, I appreciate that so much. Do you have any final, like, I always ask everybody, like, okay, do you have one final, like, business secret that you would like to share with our audience?
Mm, One business secret. Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I come from a corporate marketing background and I'm gonna tailor my question to that of a marketer and give you advice from a LinkedIn perspective. Your LinkedIn profile is not really about you. It's about you as it relates to how you can help your ideal target audience. So when you think about your marketing, your LinkedIn profile, I want you to think about it from that perspective. You're marketing yourself to your ideal target audience. Everything in your profile should be designed for them. I want you to think about that. And I always think about who's your ideal target audience? What are their goals? What are their pain points? How is what I am doing helping to serve them? And when you address things from that perspective, that's when the real magic starts to happen on LinkedIn.
That's so, so beautiful, right? Because really all of our marketing is for the people that we serve. I love that.
Yeah.
And how much of your business comes from LinkedIn? Does it all come from LinkedIn because you talk about LinkedIn?
Primarily, I mean, most of my business comes to me by way of people who either message me from LinkedIn or who email me as a result of being connected to me or seeing my address on my LinkedIn profile. I'm getting most business from referrals, word of mouth, people that are hearing about me, sending other, like Macarena sent you over to me as an
Yeah.
example.
And then
But
I just did this webinar and I was like sending you more people. I put it in the
yes,
chat.
yes.
So it's like,
It really is. I think I mean, for me, I think it's not, I'm not a salesperson. I'm a marketer, and everything I do on LinkedIn is intentional for my ideal target audience. So whether I'm posting or doing webinars or doing events or things like that, I'm always thinking about, I want you to walk away with some value so that you feel like you got something out of it. Even on the web, on this podcast here today, I want your listeners to walk away going, wow, this was some great value. And they're going to remember me, which creates goodwill towards you, Tracey. And then hopefully they'll reach out to me. And I often find that people that I am doing business with, I'm not doing business with you because you just heard me on the podcast this week and next week you're ready to sign up for team training with me. It's you've been as a part of my world for a while. It might be 6 months to a year to 5 years. And now there's an opportunity for you to do something with LinkedIn training and you remember me. So I think it's important to think about, it's a long game on LinkedIn. It's really about relationship building and building out your personal brand.
that is wonderful. Thank you so, so much, Brenda. I will include everything, all the magic that you shared in our show notes. And if you're listening right now, please, please give us a comment in whatever podcast platform you're listening. Give us a comment right there. And know that myself and my team are always looking there, and go right log on to LinkedIn right now. All of you have a profile. I know this is a conversation I have all the time with my clients, right? Like, you have a profile that you haven't looked at forever. So get on there and go say hello to Brenda, say hello to me. That'll force me to be more active. We'll all help each other grow this thing, right? So
Absolutely.
have the most amazing Beyond Common kind of day, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much.